Hello, friends. Welcome to AKULMACH Business Channel. And in the morning brew section, I want to pick your brains on a very important subject. You know that environment is become a very important, topic of discussion. And in fact, there are a lot of targets being set for different countries to produce clean energy and get out of the biomass engines and biomass, which includes your wood, coal, and also petroleum products to get out of that because those are very polluting. So, what the world needs is a clean energy. And producing clean energy at this point in time requires more fresh investments. And in a country like India, we have a big challenge. So, today, what we are going to discuss is how India would produce clean, free energy and lots of it which will suffice the need of its people and for very long time. And that is a topic of discussion in the morning brew. By the way, friends, we are live. You can actually send your messages will display live on the screen, and I will take up those questions or any comments that you may have. So moving on, let's first understand how many people live in India. India is a very large country. It has almost 1.3, 1.4 billion people living in this country. And that, huge population of India comprise of nearly 17% of the global population. So let's say, for the ease of calculation, about 17 to 20% population of the world live in this place on earth. Then, in terms of water, how much water we have? Uh, well, currently, most of the energy which is produced in India is by using thermal methods, which is by burning coal. And we have huge dams also within our country which produce hydropower. And when we talk about hydropower, which is the one of the clean method of producing power, the only challenge is that the hydropower dams are very expensive, takes very long time to manufacture, to basically construct those things, and they're quite expensive because of that. Labor intensive, also maintenance cost is also very high. And how much power we can generate? I mean, when we talk about power, it's basically free energy, because hydropower is because of the water falling onto the turbine. The turbine rotates and generate energy, basically electricity. But we have a limitation in that area. I mean, we continue to basically make a lot of hydro power plants, but then we have only 4% of fresh water sources of the world. There are countries who have more water, and those countries can then produce more thermal hydropower, and so on. So India has a very large population on one side to support. And in terms of water availability to produce hydropower, it's only 4% of the global freshwater resources. So we have a challenge. So we have to look at other uh, kinds of clean energy. And therefore, that brings me to the next one, which India is known for, is basically the Great Indian Summer. There's a lot of sun, and it's logical to look at the solar power. And when we talk about solar power, basically there's a lot of sun, but the only challenge there is that the technology behind the solar cells um, is even more expensive. I mean, they require special material to produce, and these are the rare earth elements which are using the current technology to produce the solar panels. So solar panels are very, very expensive to produce because India does not have the material. They have to import these material from different countries, so it increases the cost. And because of that, these solar panels are very expensive. At the same time, the initial cost of this kind of power is quite high, initial investment. After that, they become quite self-sufficient. The only challenge in this mode of energy generation is that these are very, very inefficient. The efficiency level here is only 2%. So you have to put lots of solar panels to produce lots of power. And we may probably run out of the land that we have in order to produce enough energy for requirements of normal Indians. So therefore, this is a challenging task. requires a lot of initial investment. I think it can also be more than how much money we would end up spending in hydropower. So going to the next segment is, there is using the natural energy which is trapped in earth. Earth is a very uh, a planet which is quite live. It has a lot of heat trapped inside it, and it will keep driving that engine. And if we can utilize that heat to generate our power, then essentially that power will be free for as long as your machine lasts. So if you maintain the machinery and utilize the heat which is generated by earth, then it will solve a lot of our problems. And I'll tell you today how we can do that. I did some research and it's very simple, very easy to do that. As you keep digging down into earth, the temperature keep rising. I mean, initially if you keep dig a couple of feet, the temperature is reduced, but after that, because there is a lot of heat in the mantle and further down molten core, there is so much heat that it actually melts the rock, which is quite hot. It melts when it has the capacity to melt rock. That means up to 3000 degrees. So how much temperature you will get if you start digging into the earth? So roughly, if you dig about 5 kilometers, the temperature of earth inside that location would be about 500 degrees, which is far above than the boiling point of water. So keep that in mind. And in terms of digging inside earth, the humans have become very efficient because we have been generating new and new boreholes for taking the petroleum out, and we have gone pretty deep in search of petroleum. So that is something that you keep in mind. We will discuss that more in detail. And this heat basically drives the volcanoes. If you know volcanoes, the molten rock comes out and it just spew out of the earth from volcanoes and different places. And most of this energy is generated by water, believe it or not. I mean, the molten rocks are there, but how they are pushed out from the volcanoes or the cracks on earth, it's because of the steam which is generated. So what happens is, there is a lot of water on earth. The water seeps inside at that location where the water boils and becomes steam, and then the temperature is so high that the steam becomes superheated steam. That creates a lot of pressure, and that then creates so much pressure that it pushes the rock to come out of earth as lava. So water is a very important ingredient of basically driving this volcanism on earth, which brings out all these hot molten rocks. So if we have to use this geothermal energy for our benefit, for generating our energy, we have to not go so deep where everything melts. We have to go a couple of kilometers below, like we normally do for drilling oil, and we can use some of the water, which without wasting, because once we take our machines down into the earth, the water will become steam. The steam can come back on earth and drive the turbines, which will generate energy. And there is no wastage, there is no greenhouse emission. Whatever comes out will be a pure stream, which will then eventually go into the nature and fall back on earth as rain. So this is something that I thought I will talk about today in Morning Brew, how we can utilize the natural heat of the earth to generate our power. But how? What are the next steps? So as you know that the deepest hole that we have dug so far is the Kola deep mine, which is located in north of Russia, and they have gone down up to 12 kilometers, which is 2 kilometers deeper than the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest point on earth. At that location, 12 kilometers, the temperatures were quite high, and the problem of digging very deep hole is that your drilling bits keep melting because the temperature is so high at that depth. So therefore, in order to not go so deep, just go 5 to 10 kilometers and don't put water directly on earth. That is the solution, because if you start putting water, throwing water, and say for example, if you dig 2 holes, For one, you basically take the water inside so that it can become steam, and from the other one you get the exit created for the steam to come out, and then eventually on the surface it will drive your turbine. That is a very wrong method of generating geothermal power, because most of the water will create so much pressure inside earth crust that it may trigger a earthquake. So in my opinion, what you have to do is you have to create a, a geothermal power plant. And if you know that there are countries who are already using this mode of clean energy, like Iceland, there are a lot of free geothermal very close to the ground surface available already. So they can use this free energy which is coming out as steam to drive their turbines. But in a country like India, what we could do is we can actually drill a deep hole and make a boiler, send the boiler down uh, approximately 5 kilometers to 6 kilometers, where the temperature can be heated up to about 500 degrees, where you can send water from earth. So your location of this power plant will also be close to a river or a lake, where you get access to a lot of water. You put the water inside in the boiler, which is actually at the depth of 5 to 6 kilometers. There the temperature is 500 degrees. At that temperature, the steam will basically generate enough pressure inside the your boiler. It is not seeping or it is not leaking into the earth. So the risk of triggering any geothermal activity at that location is very, very low. This is something that we can use, and we can probably experiment with some of these materials also, because if we make a boiler of steel, even though steel is a very good cheap material to make boiler, but then it is corrosive. So we can then keep the material, the boiler made of material which are non-corrosive, so and strong. So things like that we can experiment and make those large boilers where we put in the water, and automatically at that depth water will turn into a superheated steam. We take the water out from another vent and drive our turbines, and this will give us a very high amount of energy without spending a lot of money, lot of real estate, and also it will be clean energy. There will be no carbon emission or anything like that, and it will continue to produce electricity as long as there is heat in the earth. Of course, every power plant comes with a lifespan, so you may have to maintain it, or you may have to create more power plant, or maybe secondary power plant with more advanced technology. But this is something which I wanted to use this as a discussion point and talk about it, how a country like India can quickly solve their energy problem without spending too much of fresh water, blocking them into um, hydro power dams. We can make these small power plants which will be very simple to produce, and the real estate required will be very limited. At the same time, these power plant will also be very, very efficient, because there will be no corrosion or anything like that, and the water is again released back as steam into the atmosphere, so no pollution at all. This is my proposal, this is what I feel, and this is what I want to take your opinion also. So if you like this what I am telling, and if there are some expert who are listening to me and can post their comments or get associated with us to promote this idea, you are more than welcome. So today I like to end my video here, and I will like to meet you again tomorrow. You have a nice day, and tomorrow morning I'll meet you in Morning Brew. Until then, bye bye for today.